Namaste, I'm Dr. S.Padmapriya. Today I will be covering lesson number 9, which is Welfare Economics, a part of the first unit of UGC Net Economics Microeconomics syllabus. Social welfare function. The concept of social welfare function was given by Professor Bergson. It was later developed by Samuelson, Tintner, and Arrow. The concept of social welfare takes into account value judgments. The social welfare function is an improvement over the earlier welfare concepts as it includes value judgments. A social welfare function shows the factors on which the welfare of a society is supposed to depend. Bergson defines it as a function either of each member of the community or of the quantities of products consumed and services rendered by each member of the community. A social welfare function is an ordinal index. It is not a cardinal index. The point to be noted is it is an ordinal index of society's welfare and is a function of individual utilities. Welfare is a function of utility 1, utility 2, and to utility n, where W is the social welfare function or social welfare or social economic welfare. U1, U2, U3 till UN are the levels of utilities of 1 to up to n individuals. W is the increasing function of these utilities. The general properties of the social welfare function are similar to those of individual utility function. The value of the welfare index, whenever the utility increases, also increases. So we find that the welfare index is a function of the utility level of the individual. And when the utility increases, the welfare also increases. The existence of a social welfare function implies a comparison of the welfare position of the individual members of a society. The point of maximum social welfare or optimal position is one where the utility frontier curve FF1 is maximum social welfare or the bliss point. Here in the above graph 9.1, we are able to see this particular social welfare function as given by Professor Bergson. Now here A's utility is taken along the x-axis and B's utility is taken along the y-axis. You have welfare curves W, W1 and W2. Here we see that there are various points, especially E, which is the point of tangency, and R, which is another point, and Q, which is another point. So in graph 9.1, it becomes possible to depict the social welfare function by drawing social indifference curves with commodities being measured along the two axes. Now we come to Arrow's impossibility theorem. K.J. Arrow, in his social choice and individual values, has demonstrated the impossibility of obtaining the social welfare function even if individual preferences are consistent. He gives 5 minimum criteria or conditions which social choices must satisfy in order to reflect preferences of individuals. They are collective rationality. Alternatives must be derived from social choices, which must be based on rationality. Then we have responsiveness to individual preferences. Social choices must be directly related to individual preferences. Then we have non-imposition. Social choices must not be imposed from outside the society. They must be derived from individual preferences. Then we have non-dictatorship. Social choices must not be dictatorial. Then we have independence of irrelevant alternatives. Social choices must be independent of irrelevant alternatives. So this is how K.J. Arrow demonstrates the impossibility of obtaining the social welfare function even if individual preferences are consistent. Now let us look at this graph 9.2, which shows the Arrow's impossibility theorem. See, we have alternatives being taken along the x-axis and ranking being taken along the y-axis. You have different lines and you have points A, B and C. Let us assume that there are three individuals A, B and C in a society. If we must rank three alternative situations X, Y, Z. They vote in terms of preferences of choices. Now let us take the individuals A, B, C. Here is an example. We have alternative situations X, Y, and Z. A gives 3 points, or the third choice for the X situation, and the second choice to the Y situation, and the first choice to the Z situation. B gives first preference to the X situation, second preference to the Z situation, and the third preference to the Y situation. C gives second preference to the X situation, first preference to the Y situation, and third preference for the Z situation. The table shows that each individual has consistent preferences. A prefers X to Y, prefers Y to Z, and therefore prefers X to Z. B prefers Y to Z, Z to X, and hence Y to X. C prefers Z to X and X to Y, and hence Z to Y. The majority voting leads to intransitive social patterns. Arrow is able to explain that with the use of democratic process of voting leads to contradictory welfare criteria. According to Arrow, it is impossible to satisfy all the 5 conditions without violating at least one condition. Social choice is inconsistent or undemocratic because no voting system allows all 5 conditions to be satisfied. This is known as Arrow's impossibility theorem. The Arrow's impossibility theorem has been criticized for the following reasons by Paul A. Samuelson, Little, and other welfare economists. According to the economist Little, Arrow's impossibility theorem relates to decision-making process and is not a social welfare function. According to the economist Mishan, Arrow's impossibility theorem fails to solve the problem of interpersonal comparison of utility. According to Professor Samuelson, Arrow has proven that there is a possibility of a political constitution function. It is not possible to have a welfare state which should be able to resolve any interpersonal differences while at the same time satisfying certain reasonable and desirable axioms. Many economists claim that Arrow's theorem is based on the assumption of a majority voting pattern, which does not take into consideration the possibility of a voting system that requires unanimity and permits buying and selling of votes. So, here we come to the end of our important discussions about social welfare and other relevant concepts. This is a part of welfare economics, which itself is a part of microeconomics, and all of this is very much concerning a certain lesson which is a part of the UGC Net Economics syllabus. So I am sure it will help the students in their preparation for the UGC exam, and it will also help graduate and postgraduate students in understanding social welfare concepts better. And if you want to refer to my other videos, you may kindly go and click on videos related to Introduction of Economics and other lessons pertaining to microeconomics, which are available on YouTube. So I thank you, and God bless everyone. Thank you.